Hello, my name is Cecilia Tamayo, and I will be going over Lab 5, which is the topic of hashing map. Okay, so let's look over the instruction. We are asked to create a C++ program to calculate the frequency of each string in a given list of strings. Okay, for this lab, you will be using the built-in under node map and the order map temple to implement your solution. Okay, so we'll be using definitely one of these two, if really whatever you prefer at this point. Let's look at the input and output instructions just to make sure what we're gonna have to read and if we're gonna have like any special characters to delete or spaces we need to deal with. So let's check out that. So you will be given a list of strings. Great. The first line will be the size of the list. Great. As you can see here, we have a 7. The second line will be the content multiple strings separated by a space. Here we go. Input will not have empty line, space, characters, blank lines. Okay, so we're not gonna be dealing with any problem as empty lines, spaces, special characters, or black files. That's great because we're gonna save a little of coding and lines we actually don't have to deal with, so that's great. So the output file, let's see, the output file, the frequency assigned with the string in alphabetic order. So we need to return the values in alphabetic order. This is important, keep it in mind. And let's see an example so far. So here they're giving us the size is 7, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strings. Great. And as you can see, they're repeating. Some of them they're repeating. So if you have 2 apples, you need to do in alphabetic order and you need to output the number of 2 apples. You have then 3 oranges. Great. And this will be turning in the server. Okay, great. So let's start with this. Let's make it simple. Let's just add the using namespace std so we can start working. Okay, so far what I like to do is actually plan everything out. So I'm just gonna make a comment here so I can make a structure and see what I need to actually do, work with, and everything. So far, let's see. We're supposed to be opening the file to read it, right? So let's put the first step will be open input file. What's the second step we have to do so far? We need to store, we can say store size. That is the first thing they're giving us. Here, as you can see, the first line will be the size. Great. So the second thing we're going to do is store the size for the first line. Now, what do we have to do here? I'm thinking we're going to need a loop. So inside of the loop, we're going to be working on, we're going to need to read the words like these ones. And I'm probably thinking we can put everything into a vector or a set. Probably I'm gonna work with sets so far, or an array can work too, but I probably feel like I'm gonna work with a set. So let's see, we can, under the loop, we're gonna need to read the words. We also gonna have to see if it's a new word or if it's a repeated word. As you can see, because we have the apples, we have apple repeated again, but for example, watermelon is just one time. So we need to check the condition there. So if it's a new word, then we're gonna do something. What are we gonna do if it's a new word? If it's a new word, let's insert to hash. Let's insert, oops, sorry. Let's insert it into hash. Okay, else in the other case, what are we gonna do? In case is repeated, we're just gonna, I think we can have a counter so far that we can be incremented. So if it's new, you're gonna get into the set. If it's repeated, you're just gonna increment the counter of the word. So let's do that. Increment counter. Great. So far we have 3 steps. Let's see what else we're gonna need so far. I'm thinking we're missing something. Let's see. What else? Oh, of course. We're gonna need to iterate over our set or array or whatever you're using. Basically, we're gonna iterate over the hash table, and we're gonna have to print the case and the values to actually get this output. So let's actually do that. Let's put iterate throughout hash table, and then here we're gonna print the k. We're definitely gonna be printing the k, right? And the k has also needs the value, and we're gonna put basically all this printing in an output file, right? So to output file. So far what we have done here is just work with the logistic of what we actually have to do. So it's way easier if you actually plan what you're doing on and not just go direct to coding and just making your life harder because you don't have a plan to where you're gonna grade. So this is gonna help us to exactly know what we have to implement, like even if we still need like to implement like extra things inside here or inside here, we already know like the basic structure we're gonna be working on. So okay, that's great. Let's see. The next step will be, so let's start with the coding, shall we? Okay, so far we know we're gonna be working with even you can choose to use an under order map or even a order map. I'm gonna choose the under order map just because. Um, just because, why not? So let's make, oh, and we're gonna be including the under order map. Okay, here we go, we have it here. I'm also gonna be working with sets, so I'm definitely gonna include the set library. But as I say before, you can be using arrays or vectors. I just gonna use sets because I don't want to repeat the values, and the sets just help me with the fact that they doesn't accept any extra, like any repetitions of values. So that's great for me. That works for me. So I'm gonna use that one. We're gonna have to be using the f streams. Include f stream. Include. Oh, sorry about that. F stream, because we're gonna have to read files and all that stuff, and we're gonna use it later, but I prefer to add it right now. We're gonna be dealing with argument managers since we need to turn this homeware on the server. So I'm just gonna write it on an add it to right now. H. Okay, and I'm actually gonna bring the file to don't have problem with that. So great, that should be working right now. So now let's just get main ready to be using like argument manager with the server and everything. And before that, I'm also gonna be adding the first example. So we need the answer one and we need the input file one, just to know what we're dealing with. So here we have it, the first input and the answer we want to get. Okay, great. So let's work with main right now. So to work with an argument manager and being able to read it in the server, we're gonna be adding this RGC, and then we're gonna be dealing with characters and RG vector. Great. And I'm just gonna go ahead and also start with the argument manager. So argument manager, let's say M, and this is gonna be RGC and RGB. Okay, great. So far, so good. So we're gonna be dealing with an input file that we need to read and an output file. So let's just go and set up that too. Let's do string input file, and this is gonna be equal to get, so I can open and so I can read the input. Yep, as you can see, I'm using input because that's the name of the file, input. Great. So we're gonna be also, we need one for input and one for output. So string is gonna be output file, and this is gonna be get, then output. So great. So far, so good. So far, we get it. So we already set up these things to be using argument manager and be able to be read on the server. So now let's start working on the code. So I'm thinking we're gonna have to deal with two functions here because we need one for the map and the hashing. That is gonna be this one, and we also need one for printing. So I'm definitely gonna be creating two functions here. So this is gonna be my first one, and this is gonna be my second one, because we need something to print like the case out of the map and everything. All right, so I'm gonna be doing a void function definitely. So it's gonna be void, and let's name it initialize mappings, because we're gonna be initializing our mapping and everything. So what we're gonna need for this, the parameters I'm thinking we can give to this function will be, for sure we need like the input file we're gonna be reading from, because we need to open the file, right? So we need the file, so I'm gonna make a string input file, and I'm also gonna be needing the, oh, definitely the on order map. So we also need that. Let's do on order map. That is gonna be of a string type int. Great. And we actually want to access to the values on it. So I'm gonna be accessing to the map value. So I'm just gonna be using this start map. Great. And oh, since I'm dealing with sets, as I said before, I already include the library, so I'm just gonna give my parameter to actually get the case values from the sets. So I'm gonna be dealing with sets to not repeat any values. So let me give a parameter like that. So it's gonna be a set of type string, definitely. And I wanna get actually the values from the keys in this case. Why keys? Because the hash mapping, like the hash deals with keys. So, and we're doing mapping. So that's why I'm gonna be getting the keys. Values. Keys. Great. So now we can start working on the function. What's the first thing we actually want to work on? Well, we first of all need to open the file, right? So I'm gonna be open the input file. So let's do if stream, there we go. Let's do an input, and we're gonna be opening the first file, that is this one. So it's gonna be an input one.text, right? So let's go input one.text. Great. So this is for opening the files. This is great. Okay. So now let's see. We already opened the file. We're gonna need to store the size for the first line. Okay, so what we can do here, we're gonna need actually string line, so we can actually store the line values in this string. So it's gonna be empty. So I'm gonna leave it like that so far. And I think I'm also gonna need one for the keys. So better just to write it right now, and if we don't need it, I can just delete it, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be using this one. So yeah, let's do that. We're gonna be able to store the line and the keys. And we also need a variable for the size, and it has to be an integer. So int, let's name it size, because it makes a lot of sense, right? Okay, so far these are the variables I'm gonna be using to get the lines values, the keys, and the size. That is right here. Okay, so far so good. What else? What else? Okay, so now store the size first line. Okay, so let's do a get line. So we can actually get the line as it says. The first line for sure. That's what we're gonna get. We want to get the size here. So let's do a get line that is gonna go for the input file definitely for sure. And it's gonna be on line, right? And let's make it to the end since we don't have anything else here. It's literally just the number. So let's just make it to the end. So I'm gonna do this, right? Great. So that's for getting the first one, the first line. So now we need to take the size. So since we're dealing with strings here, like characters and strings, this actually is not an int, so we need to convert it on it. So we're gonna need to store the size on the variable we already named it. And we need to convert it to a string. So let's do this stoy to convert an integer to a string. And we're gonna be converting line to null pointer from 10. That's right. Okay, so far so good. What's next then? Let's see if we... So now that we're done getting the first line of the input, we need to actually get the second one, that it's where our key is gonna be. So the apple, the orange, the watermelon, these are our keys, right? So we need to do another get line. So let's make that get line. That is gonna be in input. It's gonna be from taken from input file. It's gonna be stored in the variable line that we used before, but we already have the information in size right here. So it's gonna be until the end again, since we don't have any special character that is gonna be bother or whatever. That's actually great. Okay, so now that we get the line, the second get line, we need to... Okay, here's whenever we're gonna be using our for loop, right? Because we actually need to be getting like each of these. Yeah, so first on the for loop, we actually need to read the words, each of them, so we need to separate it from the string. As you can see, here we're dealing with a string, like this whole thing is a string, and these small pieces, they're gonna be substrings. So that's what we actually need to get. Okay, so we need to read the words, then we need to do if it's a new word and the else case. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do the for loop. So let's do a for loop so far. There's gonna be an int, an integer, 0. And what will be the condition? So my I has to be, it's gonna run until it's smaller. Okay, then my size, right? Because we have already that information here. So that's gonna happen, and then we're gonna increase. Great. Now that we have the for loop, as I say, we're dealing with a string, and we need to get the substrings for the k. Do you remember this variable? This is where I'm gonna be storing the key values. So let's do key, and we need to deal with the substrings, right? So we're gonna be getting the line and the substrings. So far so good, yes. So we're gonna go from the beginning to until we find a space. Yeah, we need to find the space. I'm gonna say y. So as you can see in the input file, they're separated by a space. So what we're doing is actually just going from the first position until they find the space, right? So they can actually just take the work. Okay, so let's do that. Case. Great, so that's how we get the key. That's how we get the substring. So now we already stored the variable on key. Okay, but if we just keep reading that one, we're gonna just keep reading the same words. So we're gonna be reading like watermelon, watermelon, watermelon. So we need to actually delete these to get the next one and the next one and the next one. So let's do that. Let's do line dot erase, and we're gonna be erasing from the beginning of the line until you find again line find, and we need to find the space, but we're gonna be finding the space, and we're gonna be deleting the space plus 1. Why plus 1? Well, because if we don't do the +1, we're just gonna be deleting this. So whenever you start the next one, you're gonna be starting with the space on the apple, and you don't want that. You actually just wanna get the apple part, the apple piece in this case. Okay. So far so good. Okay, I think we can work with the first if statement right now. So let's just work with the if so far. Let's see, we're gonna do if. Wait, before starting with the if, I actually want to declare my map and my set in main. So let me just create my map and my set before continuing. Just, well, for me, it's just easier to already know what I have so far. So I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna create the map. So it's gonna be northern map that is gonna be having a string, then int grade, and we're gonna name it a map, definitely. And this is the thing we're gonna be actually passing here. So that's great. And I also want to start my set. So let's do a set that is gonna be having a type string, and we name it keys because it's gonna contain all the keys that we want to store. So let's do keys, definitely. Great, so far we have the two things we need, so let's just keep going with the if, right? So let's see. We have the we have the second, the substrings, we have deleted, so we're already stored in the key. Great, and we're already in the loop. So let's do if the case, yes, the case we're gonna be passing, if the case, you can find key, okay, wherever we're storing the values from the line, we're gonna be doing that. So if case, you can find the key is equal to case, and I think we need to reach the end, so I'm just gonna do it like this way. If I remember, this will be the function. Yeah, this is the function for the set. Great, that works. So here's my condition set up already. If the key is, then you're gonna find the key is equal to keys end. So if you don't find it, then what are we gonna do here? Well, as we said before, we're gonna be inserting into the hash. So we need to use our map here. So we're gonna be doing map, and there it's gonna be getting the key. So we're gonna be inserting into the map we have, and it's gonna be getting the key. So this is gonna be equal to 1, basically. And then we're gonna do the case that is gonna be inserting, right? Insert the k variable. So where am I missing here? Oh, okay, you just want to get the value, so it's gonna be passed by value. Yeah, that actually make it look great. Okay, looking good so far. So as you see, we'll be following so far the plan we have made. We're like right here so far, and it's just looking good. So smooth. It's easier whenever you plan it up. So let's just keep going and see what we can do right now. So far we have finished with the if, I'm pretty sure. So let's just work in the else. That is the case whenever we're gonna increment the counter because we, like, that means it's already repeating the word we already put in the hash. Great, so let's work on that. So let's work on the else. Let's see. We need to increase. We definitely need to increase the counter. Right, so what's gonna be our counter so far? So it's definitely gonna be in the map, and we're gonna be increasing the key. Ah, okay, yes, because here you're actually just saying you have one for the type, let's say apple, but in the case you find another apple, it's not gonna get into here, so it's gonna go to the else, and it's gonna increment this key, and it's gonna say, oh, so you don't have one apple, you have two apples. That's great. So let's do that. Let's do a map, because we're doing the pass by value, that's why. And let's do again the key, and this is gonna increment, so just plus plus. Great. And as simple as that, we just finished with the first function. So far it's looking good, right? So far it's looking good. Let's see what else do we have. We have the second function, the printing function. So we need to work on that. Let's see. So let's start working on this printing function. So we're gonna be iterating through the hash table, right? That's totally right. And we're gonna be printing each k and each value for the key, I'm sorry, to output to the file. Okay, so let's actually go ahead and start creating the function. We're gonna do a void function again, and I think I'm gonna call it printing map. Why not? Let's do print map, because it's a simple name, straightforward for what you're looking for. You're gonna be printing the hash, the map. And let's see, what are gonna be the parameters for this one? Well, since we're gonna be printing to an output file, you want to give it the name, well, the actual name of the output file. So we're gonna be doing string, pretty similar as the parameters over here, string output file. And we're also gonna be having the map. So northern map. I'm just gonna write it all the way. And it's gonna be again type string and and it's gonna be keeping the values of the map. Right, that's great. And we're missing one more thing. We also need to get the keys. So keys from the set. Right, so we're gonna do set of type string, and we're gonna be getting the values of the keys. Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me now. So let's go and create this function. I'm gonna give another space here, and let's see. We're gonna start again with the file. So we're gonna be doing this to an output file, so it's gonna be off stream, definitely. We're gonna be getting to output file that we're gonna be naming. Let's say output one.text. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple, all good, right? Now that we have the output file, what we need to do, we're gonna iterate over our set. So to do this, I'm actually have to implement my iterator so I can be able to iterate over the set. Pretty similar to a vector, but this is how you do the iterator for the set. So I'm gonna be doing iterator, right? And let's name it K, because we're gonna be getting the keys. 7 key. So we're gonna be getting the keys, right? Okay, so far so good. We have two things. Now we need, I'm thinking we're gonna need another for loop. Since we're gonna be printing each of them and the values, we're gonna need to repeat this process again. So let's just go ahead and put here that we're gonna have a loop, a for loop. So for loop. So yeah, that makes more sense now. So let's create here the for loop. Let's go for loop. What's gonna be the condition? Let's think. My condition, we have to deal with the beginning of the set until the end of the set, right? So we're gonna be iterating while the beginning is not equal to the end. Okay, that makes sense. So let's do K. That's our iterator so far, as you can see here. And we're gonna be getting the keys from the beginning, right? Yep, that's how you do it. And that's what we're gonna be getting. So whenever our key is not equal to the key sending, definitely. So the keys, and then we do this to do and. So we're saying if the key is not equal to the end of the set, then we're gonna be increasing K++. Right, so that's gonna be our for loop so far. Let's see. Now that we get the for loop, we actually just have to print the stuff. So let's do a cout just to confirm before getting into the file and everything. I want to do a cout. So cout, and then let's do, we're gonna get the value from the key, right? So we're gonna do value. We're gonna do the pass by value, and then we're gonna do the key. Okay. Then let's look at the answers just to make sure how we have to do it. So you're gonna get the key. Okay, we need to have 2 points here, then a space, and then you're gonna get the value. Okay, make sure to put that detail. So we're gonna have 2 points, we're gonna have a space, right? And we are going to get we're gonna iterate over the map, the hash, the set, right? So we need to do the value of the map as we did it already up here to actually get the key. So far so good. And I feel I'm missing something here. Let's see. No valid overload operation. Oh, okay, right. Actually need to put, yeah, that's better. Actually need to put these so actually I can get the values. So it makes sense now. Yep. So now let's do an end line because they have to be separated. Yep. zoom and line. Great, so far it's looking so good. All right, let's just call the functions to see if it's working or not. Let's see how it goes. So let's go to main. So let's call the first function. The name was init map, right? And we're giving a input file, we're giving the map, and we're giving the keys. Great, so we're gonna be giving the input file. Perfect. Then the map we already create. So we want to, actually it's not gonna be passed by value. We're gonna be giving the reference for the map in this case. So let's do like this, so we can get the reference, the pass by reference, and for the keys, it's gonna be the same thing. We actually need to do it this way again, pass by reference, so we can get the reference. Oh, there you go, the reference for the key. So that's the first function. Let's get the second one, that is print map. And we're gonna be giving to this one an output, the output file right here. We're gonna be doing the same thing. It's gonna be a map, and we also need the password reference for the keys, sorry. And I just want to make sure it's actually working, so let's run this and see if we have any problem we need to work on, or just see what's gonna happen. Okay, so far it's looking so good, as you can see. So we actually have the output file, but it's empty right now because I'm just doing the cout to here. So we have apples 2. Let's compare to the answers file. So we have the apples 2, orange tree, sorry, pineapples 1 with the space, and watermelon, and they're actually in order. That's great. That's amazing. Okay, it's looking good so far. I'm just wanna check some small things, like I'm actually getting the right size, just for other cases, like that I'm actually getting the right size, that it's 7. So let's just check that out. Just want to do a pretty quick cout here. To get the size, and I just want to see if I get the size. It should be 7. Okay, here you go. We have the 7, we have the sides. Great. Now for the last thing, we just have to put it in the file, that it's empty right now, as you can see. So let's put in the file. The only thing we need to do to actually put it in the file is we need to change the cout to the output. Yep, to the output. That's what we're gonna be doing. So let's do output, and that should actually fix the thing. So I'm gonna delete this, I'm gonna run the program again, and let's see if we get it right. Great. So as you can see, this is my output file, this is the answers, so looks pretty similar to me. Cool. And that's how you solved it so far. Okay, so the last thing we actually want to do is check the whole cases, because we might pass like this first one, but we might have an error. So let's just bring all the files in and the test.g. So we need that one, we need this two, and this two. Okay, pretty straightforward. We have everything. Yes, we do. Let me just take this one out. And we actually gonna have to change this for this, so I actually can be running like getting different output files and not just everything copying over and over the output file. So if we want to pass the cases, we actually need to put this one here. And we need to do the same thing for input. So let's just go and look for it. Here you go. For the input file. So we make sure we're reading all the different inputs and not just the same one. And let's just run the program. Okay, let's just do gmod u plus x. So we're gonna be giving the permis to the test.she file. So now the test file can actually run all the programs and use the main, have access to main and everything. So let's run it and see how it goes. Okay. Okay, so far so good. Let's see. We have the output files, R, blue, I, ET, okay, one of each. We have this. Okay, it seems, yep, it seems like it's the same for the second one. Pretty straightforward, and the first one we already check it. Okay, and that's it. That's basically how you solve this code. I hope you guys find this video helpful, and just remember to actually organize your stuff and organize your logic, and you got this. All right, well, have a good one.